You know we are far from all the same. When white folks ain't around, you see all the light-skinned girls gather in one corner of the room, while the dark-skinned girls gather in the other. And you know, coming up, light-skinned cats get it harder from other black people sometimes than they do from white people. What's your point, Jim? My point is that sometimes I wonder if all the pushing and all the hardline this and hardline that is about trying to prove something to white people. Or is it about trying to prove something to black people?
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Lit to Lens podcast, a safe place for folks who like the book better than the movie. We are recording this on Monday, March 8th, 2021. I haven't updated our Google Doc here, but it's actually Friday, March 12th.
That's correct.
2021, because we had a little snafu with the audio. So this is take two, folks. But today we are discussing the film and play, One Night in Miami, streaming currently on Amazon Prime. With me to talk about the adaptation is the good-looking Bob Dylan singing and a Nation of Islam card holder, Brother Erik. Say hello to the people, Lee.
Hello, people. Am I better looking or worse looking than the last time when we recorded this?
That's a good question. This is definitely better because you're wearing a blue shirt and that goes well with everything above you.
Wow,
above your neck.
Thank you so much. That's very kind.
I wouldn't say you're as gorgeous as Cassius Clay or Eli Guree for that matter, but
no, definitely not.
Who is really?
Not me.
It's high standards.
Yeah, I'm like a hard 5 in the.
You can give yourself a little credit, more credit than that. To his credit, Erik did run a sub 6 mile time.
You still
last
remember
weekend.
that? I'm glad we're still talking about this.
How could I forget?
We'll put it on the Instagram, but
yeah.
527. It's nothing to laugh at.
Did Orange Theory tweet you out or
they
Instagram
did?
You
Oh,
did
yeah.
they really?
I should show it to you.
You should. 2
people in our Orange Theory studio ran 5-minute miles.
Oh my!
So I was third place in the studio that day with a 527. But yeah, 2 people ran 5 flat.
What the fuck's wrong with those people?
I don't know. I don't know.
Are you gonna fight them or race them? Or?
Well, I think if I fought them, I'd probably win.
Because they're probably lighter and
yeah, right.
Yeah,
but I like to think that I run a 5:30, but I could also probably win or place. I place on the rower and I probably place on the floor.
For sure.
I'm well rounded in that way. These people, if you're running a 5-minute mile, you're probably very mile focused.
You're a well-rounded athlete.
Yes,
yeah. I mean, you were first team All-State in high school.
That's right. That might be the first time we said that on this podcast,
which is too late, honestly.
Yeah. But as far as athletes go, I pale in comparison to some of the players in this book.
That's fair enough. So give you guys some fast facts. The play, also named One Night in Miami, was written by Kemp Powers, who wrote and directed Soul, I believe.
Co-writer of Soul, not
co-writer.
Director.
Okay, co-writer of Soul.
Pete Docter wrote or directed Soul.
Oh, okay. And it was first performed in June 2013 at the Rogue Machine Theater in Los Angeles. Goodreads rating of 4.19 with only 37 ratings. So it's not a very popular play. Read and reviewed on Goodreads. But the movie premiered at the Venice Film Festival and TIFF in September 2020. It was a runner-up for the People's Choice Award at TIFF, and it lost to Nomadland, which we recorded a couple weeks ago. It's our most recent episode. It was a limited release by Amazon Studios on Christmas 2020, before being released digitally on Prime Video on January 15th, 2021. Also, Regina King's birthday, so happy birthday to her. Belated. Directed by Regina King. This is her directorial debut.
Feature directorial debut.
Thank you.
I think I was listening to her talk, and she's directed a couple episodes of.
That's true.
Like random TV shows.
That is true.
Not only ones that she starred in, but like ones that I didn't know that she would have directed.
Yeah, probably some shorts in there also.
Yeah.
And then the screenplay was by Kemp Powers, who also wrote the play. Big year for Kemp Powers. And starring Kingsley Ben-Adir as Malcolm X, Eli Guree as Cassius Clay, Aldous Hodge as Jim Brown, and Leslie Odom Jr. of
Hamilton
fame.
Aaron Burr, sir.
Yes, sir. And he played Sam Cooke.
Yep.
So Rotten Tomatoes score 98%, Metacritic 83%, received 3 Golden Globe nominations for Best Director Regina King, Best Supporting Actor for Leslie Odom Jr., and Best Original Song for Speak Now. Erik, please give us the recap.
While you're out of breath, One Night in Miami tells the fictionalized story of a meeting between Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, then known as Cassius Clay, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke in February 1964, celebrating Clay beating Sonny Liston to become the heavyweight champion of the world.
He did it.
I think the age ranges are pretty wide. I think Malcolm X is maybe the oldest. He's 39 or almost 40, and Clay is 22.
22. Yeah.
So the players range within those two age brackets.
Yeah. So if you're ready, we're gonna play a little game called Two Truths and One Lie.
I'm ready. Please read me 3 statements, 2 of them being true and 1 of them being a lie.
I'm glad that we've come to the point where you're just gonna read me how it's done.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Maybe one day I'll read these to you.
No,
Okay.
never. Number 1, Leslie Odom Jr. is married to his on-screen wife, Nicolette Robinson, in real life. Regina King is the first female African-American director to have her film selected for the Venice Film Festival. And Leslie Odom Jr. is the brother of former Los Angeles Lakers basketball player Lamar Odom. Eric, what do you think?
So I feel like if Leslie Odom was part of America's royal family, we would have known that. Lamar Odom being the ex of Khloe Kardashian.
Controversial ex, right?
I believe I've used all those names correctly. Yeah, I think he had some personal problems, but that's okay.
That's right. No, of course.
I think he's happy and healthy now.
Anyway, good.
I don't think Leslie Odom and Lamar Odom are brothers. There obviously is a very large height differential, and I'm not getting into the other part, which the last time we recorded, I had a whole soliloquy on what I associate Lamar Odom with, and that's probably not healthy to get into.
It's Entourage, if anyone was wondering.
Yeah, it's actually very benign, but still not good that that's where my mind goes.
Fair enough.
Anyway, even when we did this last time, I knew that was the lie as I'm banging into my mic, because they don't look alike and they are very far from.
How many people with the last name Odom do you know or have you ever heard of? And if it's more than 2, I will say that you're lying.
I think it is 2. Yeah.
So, I mean, they both live in LA, or, you know.
Well, now you're explaining why you wrote these, why you wrote this out. You don't know where Leslie Odom lives. Leslie Odom was probably a New Yorker.
He was probably in New York for a while, but he's, you know.
Maybe he's in LA now.
Well, he's a film guy, so what's
the name of the Black Beverly Hills?
Oh, where they stayed in the movie?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It's another kind of hills. Yeah.
Yeah. They have a better view though, apparently.
Yeah.
So
it sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'll probably check it out at some point. Yes, that's the lie. I'm interested though that Regina King is the first female black director to be nominated for the Venice Film Festival.
So just to say, for the record, you are correct.
Oh,
so I know you were sweating.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that one stuck out to me because, I mean, certainly there have been plenty of other female African American directors in the past, and Ava DuVernay stands out because she's most recent and she's made at least a few films that have been very noteworthy and have been at least noticed by the Golden Globes or the Academy Awards. So that was kind of, I guess, surprising.
It's the Italians.
Yeah, maybe they're.
But I think you mentioned Ava DuVernay.
Mm-hmm. Was that how you say it?
I think that's right.
Okay.
I think maybe the point is just like there actually haven't really been a whole lot of like female black directors.
Yeah.
And so it's a question of access, right?
Yeah.
If there's a smaller like pool of these people that are allowed to make movies that could be in the Venice Film Festival, then there's going to be fewer.
We don't want to make excuses for the people in Italy, though. They should,
That's true.
They should up their game a little bit.
This is why Venice is sinking. So.
Like they should be proactive, like the Golden Globes, and just come out and say, we don't have any African American journalists, but we're working on it.
They're not working.
How funny was? I mean, how ridiculous was that?
Well, you know that there was a whole drama with the Golden Globes this year. There was a big LA Times article like a week before. Where they like talked about the culture of the Hollywood Foreign Press, where they have no black members, and they routinely, and they were sort of like a wink, wink. Everyone knew this, but the reason like Emily in Paris was nominated was because some of the people in that body got to go to Paris to watch them film.
That's ridiculous.
So they're like, "Hey, come watch our production," and like, we'll get a nom later, right?
That's ridiculous.
So
wow,
they're journalists with like an italicized journalist or like quotation marks.
They're not like
around
real
the word.
journalists.
Journalist, yeah.
Okay, so it's good because I was thinking I think his name was Wesley Morris, the guy for The Ringer.
Yeah,
he's pretty famous.
He works for the New York Times now.
Oh, okay. But it's like, how is that guy not? I assume the Hollywood Foreign Press.
He's from,
I guess,
the United States.
Is that why?
Will. Yeah.
Fuck.
I think critics aren't in they're like, he wouldn't vote for the Oscars. The Oscars are a body made up of like
Filmmakers,
creatives,
and
right? Yeah. So he probably votes for like the New York Critics Circle Awards, whatever they're called. But I think the Golden Globes are specifically for the Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
It would make sense. Yeah, I guess I just never put those words together.
Yeah.
Sounded them out. I have to sound them out.
Yeah.
And then think about
the
them.
It's
very difficult.
HF
Foreign
PA.
Anyways.
Yeah. So
the Oscars are a month and a half away. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Get some real awards in here. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get some life advice from Erik.
One of my favorite quarantine activities is laundry.
Is that right?
Yeah, washing, drying, folding.
Well, you don't take part in the washing and the drying. You just put them in.
But spiritually, I am taking part in it. I'm rooting for it to get washed and to then subsequently dry.
Are you one of those people who waits intently for it to finish? Or are you one of those people who puts it in the laundry or the dryer and then forgets about it and then folds it like 8 hours later?
Usually I don't forget, but there have been times that I've forgotten. Absolutely.
What happened the last time?
I forgot. There's only 2 loads too.
So you're a forget person.
Not usually. I think it's based on where my like high priority items are. Are they in load 1 or load 2? If they're in load 1, you get them out and you get them hung or folded or whatever. Then your mind's gone. You're like, oh, I got my shirt out. I folded it. We're good. But if that's in load 2, then you won't forget about load 2.
That's true.
So it's about reprioritizing your priority items.
And we're back. Thank you from that great life advice from Erik. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Don't spend it all in one place.
I won't. Don't worry. So, Erik, did you like reading the play One Night in Miami?
I liked it just fine. I think as fantasies go, this was interesting. I certainly think like bringing all these 4 titans of the civil rights movement together is a cool conceit for a story, and certainly there's a ton of big ideas, big topics, important topics that are discussed. I just, for whatever reason, it just didn't fully connect with me. Like I thought, I keep talking about Jim Brown. Like I really wish this was more of a four-hander rather than a Malcolm X is your lead, Sam Cooke is your sort of supporting, Muhammad Ali is the character that they're sort of vying over, and Jim Brown is just there.
Yeah.
I sort of wish he could have elevated those characters to bring them more on equal footing and ratchet up the tension that way. Right now, it just sort of seems like Jim Brown is there and Muhammad Ali is being vied for, and I don't know. It's not as complicated as I wanted it to be.
I wonder what his like reasoning for bringing Jim Brown into this play was.
I mean, maybe you just couldn't have told the story without Jim Brown.
Maybe.
But in the telling of it, he left him on the sidelines a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if Jim Brown was a big advocate for the civil rights movement.
You wouldn't know reading this play.
You wouldn't know reading the play,
other than that he's in the room.
He's more of like the reasonable friend of everybody who speaks truths and speaks true truths and reason for people. You know what I mean? He's sort of like the friend that you lean on when you're having a hard time, who you're willing to talk to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting because he is at once like Muhammad Ali, like he's in the sports world.
Yep.
He wants to go into the acting world and wants to be more of a like Hollywood entertainer, not a like gladiator entertainer.
Yeah.
Like Sam Cooke is. He doesn't have a lot of his like own thing.
Yeah.
They were talking about like, oh, he's the strongest man in the world, but like he's with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, right.
Like real question, who do you think would win in a fight between Muhammad Ali in his prime and Jim Brown?
Well, that's a different question than having to fight our strongest man. I mean, they have a world's strongest man competition. They lift weights. They don't fight, Erik.
I suppose so.
So,
but Jim Brown is not the world's strongest. Like, I don't think Jim Brown would have won that competition.
Probably not, but.
And I know boxing is different than being a football player.
Yeah. Certainly, boxing is certainly easier on your knees, but not on your mind.
So, who do you, if they were to scrap, just like not about, like, no, like Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, where Floyd has a big advantage because they're boxing. If they were just to actually fight, who do you like? Jim Brown or Muhammad Ali?
Muhammad Ali. I mean, what,
right.
what are we talking about?
That's sort of my point, is just like Jim Brown is just is just like a B version of the stuff Muhammad Ali brings and the stuff Sam
Fair.
Cooke brings.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like plot mechanics wise, right?
For sure. Yeah, that's fair.
So it's just, I don't know. He's an interesting person to throw in there and then give like really nothing to do.
Yeah.
Plus he's quiet, and that's maybe it's realistic to Jim Brown as a person.
Yeah.
But
I think maybe you have that character because all the other characters are so vocal and so big, I guess. Like maybe you need kind of a base, like a...
He slows the action down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't written a play before, so I'm not sure.
Well.
Have you?
No, I have not.
Okay.
It's too much dialogue. I'm more of a descriptor kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm more of like spend 4 pages just with like the tree's roots, watching them ripple and grow.
Yeah, you write that for me. I'll read it for you.
Yeah, that's right.
And then what parts of the play were you excited to see adapted?
I mean, since I didn't love this play, this is a harder one for me to answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think just bringing these 4 characters together was interesting to me, even if I knew that they weren't going to be all on the poster, like on the same level.
Right.
You know what I mean? What about you?
For me, I was excited to see the tension and animosity and just the overall general interaction between Sam Cooke and Malcolm X, because that was one of my favorite parts of the play, just their banter and their bickering towards each other and their, just their verbal fights, essentially. That was really interesting. So I was excited to see that for the film. And then why do we think this was adapted?
I think it's the names, right? Like
For
it's you're able to put Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali on a poster.
Yeah.
And then maybe like Sam Cooke and Jim Brown are probably less known than those 2 headliners, but that and Regina King, I think is probably a name now.
She is now, but I kind of think like...
But I guess that's not related to why you would adapt the play.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when they made this. I'm not sure if she had maybe won her Oscar before or after, like they agreed to all this. But she certainly, she wasn't super popular before she won her Oscar. And then If Beale Street Could Talk came out, and she certainly... And then when she won the Oscar...
She might have been less mainstream.
Yeah, then she sort of like became mainstream, and she was in Watchmen on HBO.
Yeah. Now
she's sort of more of a household name, but I think before all that happened, I'm not sure when they agreed to it, but I think this is kind of a film that's like, if you're an investor or you're a film person, you're like, yeah, she's been in the film industry for years. Like, let's give her a shot kind of thing. Yeah.
And I've said this before, but I just don't know why like this play versus all the other plays in the universe. Like, I don't know. I didn't read it and think like, oh my God, like I need this on Amazon Prime.
Right.
If my Jeff Bezos is like, oh my God, how am I going to charge people $99 a year if we don't have one night in Miami? How am I going to do it? I don't know. It didn't like scream that to me.
Fair enough.
You know what
I mean? Of all the atrocity that's made nowadays, this is certainly like not some of the worst.
Yeah. And I know it's not apples to apples. It's not like you get this and you don't get something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can get everything.
Yeah.
It's just like, why did this have to be, why was this like in the front of the queue to be made and other plays like maybe aren't? I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, fair criticism.
I don't know. I think it's a cool piece of mythology that as a play, I thought probably could have been a little bit better.
Fair enough. I personally think the reason you make this movie is for the 4 characters.
But you like this play, we should say, right?
I did enjoy the play a lot. I just thought it was really interesting. I mean, it was super easy to read. It was super short, which is like perfect for me with my attention span.
So your reason for liking it is that it was so short.
Yeah, if it was
you
just
wanted it to be over.
Better.
You just wanted it to be over.
But no, I mean, I also really, I think I might have mentioned this before, but I came into it with rather low expectations because, I see this poster. I was like, okay, 4 big figures come together and they're, in a room together. Like, it just seems kind of like I don't know. I don't want to say hokey or whatever. It just seems kind of like cliche, like a cliche topic or storyline. Like, okay, sure, whatever. And I don't know. The conversation that these people had in the play was great. I mean, it certainly surpassed my expectations. It was really just interesting to get their perspectives on things, and certainly each of them has their own particular perspective given their place in society, right? And we can get into some of that later, but They talk about things and they accuse each other of things and they push each other to do other things that, I certainly would never think of, right? Being as a white person, but yeah, I really liked it. So
And I think we should say that this play is not like as a play that is about like this, civil rights movement circa February of 1964. Like this play is very funny. This play is very like there is like banter between friends. It's not all like for lack of a better word, like homeworky.
Yeah, it's not like super like
preachy either, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a play that is about ideals, but also a play that is about like a friendship on the line between Sam Cooke and Malcolm X, and I think a lot of that really works.
Yeah, I agree.
There's that. It's hard to say like I wish it was better because you sort of have to judge what's there. I just feel like sometimes you got to break out of that and be like, hey, you had 4 characters. Why did you only use 3 of them?
I just wish it was better.
So
you listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He co-wrote Soul, which is my favorite movie of the year. So
that's true.
There you go. He can write both things that I like and things that I don't care for. And that's, I think, fair.
You're being harsh.
Okay.
Anyways, let's get into jokes.
Let's turn this a little bit funnier.
We'll try. You go first.
I'll go first. Will.
Erik.
Why didn't Muhammad Ali start a podcast?
Because podcasts weren't invented until recently.
No, because he's too pretty for radio. You know how people say that you have a face for radio sometimes? Yeah. Well, Muhammad Ali is very pretty, and
he's got a face for film.
That's right. He should be on the big screen. The bigger his face is, the better. You know what I mean?
He's very pretty. And also that was probably the best moment I think that you mentioned too when we were watching of the movie where he is looking at himself in the mirror and he's like, "Oh my god," and everybody else is like, "What's wrong, what's wrong, Cassius? Like, what's going on, man?" And he's looking, he's all serious, he's like, "Why am I so pretty?"
Yeah.
And it's just like a great comedic moment. I'd probably butchered it, but
nothing was good. You did a very good Charles Barkley. I think the actor did a Charles Barkley impression and not a Muhammad Ali impression. It's got to be so weird because I want to talk about this a little bit later, like the affectations put on by some of these characters to have a voice that is so unique.
Yeah.
And try to get it right.
Yeah.
The entire time you're filming. And it's gonna be both hard and weird.
Yeah, what a weird thing, imagine if you were friends with one of these actors, like, and you go out with them and maybe they're like a method actor or they're like trying to try out a new accent and they're at a bar and they're just like talking like they're Muhammad Ali. Like, dude, can you like stop? Can you stop talking like Charles Barkley for a second?
Yeah, it's weird. It is. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's weird because I think it's one thing to do like I'm a British actor and I'm doing an American accent because that is more normalized. Like I could go to a bar and be like, "Oh, can I have a pint?" And if I was good at it, no one would be like,
"Fuck off, wanker."
No one would be like, "Oh, that's weird," right?
Yeah.
But if you're like doing a 1960s Muhammad Ali impression, that is always going to be slightly strange.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I actually thought he did pretty good.
I thought Kingsley Ben-Adir, the Malcolm X voice, was excellent.
Yeah, he was probably the best.
I thought the Jim Brown voice was very terrible.
Yeah, Aldous Hodge needs to continue working on his triceps.
Yeah.
In order to get acting gigs.
Yeah.
No, he's good, but
it's just tough when it's like, hey, we're going to give you the least amount of lines and also your voice is very low.
It's also tough because I think a lot of people, especially me, and probably people from my generation, only know Jim Brown as like the old Jim Brown and not like Jim Brown like back when he was really good at football. So that's how I think of Jim Brown and that's how I associate with him because I don't have any other knowledge of him.
You haven't watched his movies?
I have not watched his movies. I haven't even seen his highlight tapes, I don't think. I just know he's just one of the greatest. So
yeah, and he retired young. He's like a Barry Sanders type.
Oh, yeah, he retired at like 28, 29 or something. Yeah. Good for him. It's bad on your knees.
Save your knees. That's right.
Save your brain, too. Anyways.
We're wasting time for
say my joke?
Yes, please.
Knock, knock.
Who is there?
Regina.
Regina who?
Regina King, give me the goddamn Oscar, you motherfucker. I'm kicking down the door. I'm saying, give me my fucking Oscar. Erik, give it to me. Erik, give me my fucking Oscar, dude.
So,
best director.
Like last time, I'm not laughing. I'm just like cowering in the corner.
I'm standing
why
over
are you
Erik
yelling
as
at
I'm
me?
about to Beat his ass.
Yeah.
Did you like my joke? Or?
I don't think it was funny. Your eyes are like very large, like you're about to strike me.
It wasn't really a joke. I just wanted you to give me that.
You're like Muhammad Ali, and I'm like Sonny Liston, and you're just looking at me like, he's so ugly up close. I can't tell you. He's so ugly up close. You think he's ugly from this far? You should see him up close. Take that one. Yeah. So you're in on her as an Oscar hopeful?
Yeah, I think she's probably on the outside looking in at this point. I think Chloe Zhao is probably the front runner, and for good reason. But I just think I was just so impressed with the movie, and we'll get into the reasons why. That I think that she should probably be more in the. Obviously, I haven't seen the rest of the films this year, but like, I don't know. I was very, very impressed with the film and what she did with it. And I just think that she's the real deal. So that's just why I say that.
So I'm looking at the Gold Derby odds right now, and One Night in Miami has the 7th best odds at 10-1
for picture,
for best picture.
Mm-hmm.
Nomadland, which we covered last week, is number 1. And
is it still tied with Chicago 7?
No, now Nomadland is 13-2, and Chicago 7 is 15-2. So
it's probably because we did a podcast episode on Nomadland.
It pushed it over the top. You're right.
For sure.
Well, so Will, why don't you tell me what you thought about the movie as we transition into?
Yeah, I thought the movie was really, really good. It was super enjoyable, and coming into it, I was still kind of thinking like this is going to be kind of preachy, blah blah blah. But it was actually super entertaining. They hit all the same interesting conversation points that were in the play, but they expanded on a lot, and I thought that was probably was needed for this movie since it was such a short play. But I thought all of it like worked well. It gave incredible background story to all the characters. I actually liked it more than Nomadland. I mean, I enjoyed it more than Nomadland. Nomadland is another movie I probably need to watch a few more times to really like delve into it and really get a feel for exactly what that movie was. But this movie, I kind of feel like, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. What about you?
It's interesting that you talk about Nomadland in reference to this, because obviously we're doing an Oscar season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Focused on adapted works, but I think there is an element of Oscar-ness that is not compatible with like rewatchability. Like Nomadland, you might not rewatch it ever, or it might take you years, mm-hmm. or if you want to do it for a podcast, maybe are gonna watch it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this movie, I watched it again today after having watched it for the first time, and it is like very, very watchable.
For sure.
It's very enjoyable.
Yep.
I think it's excellently directed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Regina King point is spot on, because there are some shots in here that are awesome, and I know you want to talk about those later, but
mm-hmm.
I think the direction is amazing, and I just think this movie is so good.
It really is.
I was like sort of a little bit further over the fence the last time we recorded this, because this is recording number 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like a Cloud Atlas situation all over again.
It feels like recording number 3 or 4.
But I have so much more respect for the story and the details that went into this than I did just watching it for the first time. There's so much to be gained watching it over and over again. I don't know. I really love this movie. I think the acting is phenomenal. The dialogue has been changed a little bit from the book, and I just think it's overall a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's cleaner. Kemp Power wrote the screenplay in addition to writing the play, and maybe just having a couple of years to sit with it, some different actors to speak it gave him more of an opportunity to like tighten some things, think of some, and I think you're right. Like the power of the lens was really felt here compared to like Ma Rainey, which was also a play and was also set in 2 rooms. This play is really set in the hotel room, and then that's it. Yeah. Like sometimes people leave the hotel and they come back in, and that's all you really get.
Yeah.
The lens in the movie goes all sorts of places.
Everywhere.
There are like introductory scenes for every character, outro scenes for every character.
Yep.
There are a couple moments in the film where they leave the hotel, the camera follows them.
Yep.
And it builds a world that exists outside of the play, but is better to be seen, if that makes sense.
Yes. I mean, you certainly know about the world outside of the play, right? You're and certainly familiar with it, at least to a certain extent. But seeing it just gives it more power and gives the audience more emotion towards it, and makes that connection a little bit stronger for the audience in the film. So, yeah.
I thought Malcolm X's paranoia was way more was played up a lot more in the movie, but not like overplayed, and it just made the viewing experience that much better. You sort of got a sense of like, oh shit, trouble is around every door for this guy.
Yeah.
And also we know what he is trying to do, and we know that if he doesn't get Cassius Clay to flip to the Nation of Islam, he may well like die, right? The nation might well come after him.
And this is something you mentioned before we recorded tonight. After your second viewing, you said you noticed it after the first viewing, where the stakes are a little bit higher for Malcolm X than they were in the play, because we're basically directly told in the movie that he is worried about the Nation of Islam retaliating against him because they are aware of his efforts to navigate away from the nation and form his own religious entity under Islam, just separate from the nation. So he thinks there's pressure and from the nation, and he thinks that maybe it'll affect him or his family. And that's something that I don't think either of us actually caught or maybe fully understood when we watched it, when we saw it together the first time.
Yeah. And I think I was way more in tune to what people are required to do based on who they work for and the color of their skin.
Right.
We talked about how there are introductory scenes that accompany each character, each of the four main characters. Sorry, my dog shakes himself. In each of those introductory scenes, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke are positioned in relation to a white character or a white group of characters. Like Sam Cooke's at the Copa and he bombs.
Right.
Jim Brown goes to Georgia, like an old family friend who's white, who tells him he's not allowed in his house because he's a black person.
Yeah.
And Muhammad Ali fights an Englishman
and loses.
Almost loses. Doesn't quite lose. But I think that with him, he is like taunting and sort of unfocused. And when he's unfocused and he's not paying attention to what the white man is capable of, he gets knocked in his face.
Yes.
Right. So I think there's a lot of that set up where if you are not fully aware or fully in tune with what the like white person is doing, they're going to smack you in the face and you're going to get blindsided.
Right.
And that is compared to Malcolm X, who also gets his own intro that in which, it's revealed that he's sort of on the outs with the nation and Elijah Muhammad. And he, compared to the rest of the characters, isn't really faced off with a white character, right? He's actually not worried about the white characters
directly.
Right. He's more worried about what Elijah Muhammad is capable of versus everyone else. So he is coming at the conversation to follow from a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah.
They mentioned he doesn't have a job per se. So his like financial life is a little bit different. His personal like relationship to race is a little bit different.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. And I caught that. I was like, Muhammad Ali, for as much as he's talking, actually comes from a different world than the rest of these guys.
For sure. So with the addition of these introductory as well as ending scenes for each of these characters, did you like this addition? Did it help you? It sounds like you're pretty pro because it gives you these scenes because it gives you sort of more background. It sort of gives you more thematic gunfire, for lack of a better word, to the story. And it gives you just more perspective on each of these characters.
Yeah. The last time we recorded this, I didn't like them as much, but now that I've sat with them and you think like, okay, it's actually not about what Jim Brown was facing when he goes back to St. Simon's Island in Georgia, where he grew up. It's actually about placing them at odds with what Malcolm X is facing.
Mm.
And it's sort of separating the three from the one.
Yeah.
So in a way, we are, by setting that up, we can see that Malcolm X is very much alone, and his need in the story to flip Cassius Clay not only to a member of the Nation of Islam, which he's already done, but to flip him from that to his own burgeoning sect within the like Muslim church, carries like very, very severe consequences for his own personal safety and well-being.
Yeah, and that's something that was added on the play. I mean, it was referenced in the play very minimally, I guess. It was sort of like a 1 or 2 sentence mention in the play where he was trying to recruit Cassius Clay to become part of his new sect under Islam. But it was certainly more direct in the movie, and it certainly gives Malcolm X's character a little bit more pressure.
More
from Elijah Muhammad,
urgency.
More urgency, yeah. So the stakes are a little bit higher for him, and he's the one who is certainly the most serious throughout. The other characters are sort of like enjoying life, and they don't really have this significant weight on their shoulders, and they're sort of giving him shit because he's so serious all the time, and all this stuff. And he, there's a point in the movie where Sam Cooke actually mentions, I love Malcolm, but I don't know who you are. Like, I don't know who this is. Like, this is not Malcolm, but I love Malcolm. And, and I think that kind of speaks to, the pressure, obviously, that he's facing and the person that he's become, but also sort of the social, or maybe the perspective on his place in society, the social responsibility and social pressure that he carries with him on a daily basis. Whereas the other is kind of like going in and out of having this pressure and having the social responsibility. They enjoy their life, but they also have this platform that they use, every once in a while. But yeah.
What's interesting when you brought that up, the fact that they give Malcolm some shit for his like performative nature.
Yeah.
Right. There are a couple of moments in the movie actually where they do talk about that. Like there's one point where they steal his camera and he drops his like affected tone of speech and says something that's, more like modern.
Yeah.
Right?
More normal. Yeah.
The way he talks. He's often like taking off his glasses and like cleaning them, just putting them other places. And I don't know, part of it struck with me is just like, they are all performative in a sense. Like there are 2 athletes, there's a singer, and then there's Malcolm X. So it's easy, like Sam Cooke says, to say which of the 4 of us doesn't belong. And obviously it's Malcolm X.
Right.
But I think the more you think about it, like the fact that he puts on a different voice, the fact that he maybe doesn't need his glasses, the fact that he, I don't know, he has a facade. The fact that like Sam Cooke is like, I don't know who you are actually.
Right,
there used to be someone beneath you.
Right.
Like he's also a performer.
Yep.
He's also putting on for, reasons that aren't fully clear all the time. Jim Brown accuses him of like, are you putting on for the white man? Or are you putting on for the black man?
Yeah.
I don't know that you're actually sure, Malcolm.
Right.
And I think it levels him out a little bit.
So,
the fact that everyone is actually performing for somebody else.
Yes. And no, I totally agree. And it's an apt point that you make about Malcolm X, because I don't think it's as obvious as the other characters. But I wanted to mention another shout out to Regina King for her directing. Was she used mirrors a lot in the hotel room where characters were having conversations with each other. And it was enough to make me notice. Sometimes you just have a mirror or whatever. Like even in the beginning where she has a mirror with Cassius Clay where he's talking about how pretty he is. But she uses mirrors in a much more serious sense as well, where she, I think from what she's trying to describe while she's showing this is that each of these characters has basically 2 personas, right? They have what you just talked about, their public persona, their performance persona, as well as their real persona, like the person they are when they're in a hotel room, when they're with their buddies, is different than who they are on the outside. Which that was another clever point, or a clever directorial
flourish.
technique, I guess you say.
Yeah, you're right. Because
That Regina
Jim
King
Brown
used.
goes into the bathroom once and just like stares at himself. I think Sam Cooke does that as well. Maybe the only person who doesn't really do that is Malcolm X, who doesn't have like a look in the mirror moment, because he's also very clearly is the only one who doesn't recognize that he is no
Changed
longer
or-
two people.
Yes, yeah.
Like his persona has melded into his like day to day.
Yeah, he doesn't remember who he was in the past. He just thinks he's the same person.
Yeah.
But he doesn't realize that he's kind of drifted from that person.
Yeah.
But even, I mean, you mentioned that.
And he's critical of the people that have too, right? Like he tells
Yeah.
Sam Cooke, like, "Oh, you have one set for the Copa, and you have one set for
yes,
a black audience."
right, exactly. But I mean, the point that I was making wasn't necessarily about them looking directly at themselves in the mirror. It was more about them having conversations with another character in the hotel room where the mirror was bouncing off, Sam Cooke or Jim Brown or Cassius Clay. So I just thought it was well done. I thought
Well,
it
mine's
was
better. I like mine.
Yeah,
Mine
whatever.
better.
Yeah. So,
No, I think that's Regina King is growing in my
She's a-
estimation.
yeah, she's good. She's great. Do you want to talk? Also, we should mention. Do we think this adaptation was literal, loose, reimagined?
I think it's fairly literal with like a dusting of updates. Like mostly this is the exact same movie as it was in a play, but there are a couple of key changes.
They take like parts of the play that weren't described fully and sort of expand on those. Like the Copa scene, like that was a scene that was mentioned in the play but wasn't really talked about extensively, and they have a full like 10-minute scene about it, as well as the Georgia trip where Jim Brown travels to the white man's house and the white man tells him you can't come on or you can't come in the house, as well as what am I forgetting? Was there another one, or was that it? Sam Cooke.
I think at some point they like Malcolm X goes outside to call his wife, and that's shown in here.
That's true.
Sam goes to the liquor store, and that's shown versus just like he leaves and comes back.
Yeah. So they took things from the play and sort of just like showed them. Oh, I'm forgetting the scene about the performance, the Sam Cooke performance in Boston.
Right.
So this was another key scene that we both enjoyed because, it was certainly an interesting story. It sort of brings the two characters together. Their tension is building throughout, right? They're getting more and more at each other's throats. And, there's this moment of realization for Sam Cooke when Malcolm X is telling him about, I was at your play in Boston in whatever year it was. He's, oh yeah, I remember that play, whatever. Or I remember that performance, that concert. And he tells him, yeah, I've been to 5 other concerts of yours, blah, 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 whatever. He's, oh yeah. So they basically recount the story of the concert where, in the movie, at least, Jackie Wilson is the opener, and he cuts out Sam Cooke's mic as he's going on stage, which was another interesting side note. But basically what happens is Sam Cooke realizes that he's in trouble because the audience is turning against him, and he needs to do something quick. So his band actually just leaves because they're like, we have nothing to do with this. We're just going to leave because we don't want to deal with this shit anyways. So Sam Cooke sort of gets the crowd going by doing like a stomp and a clap and then singing over top of it. But another shout out to Regina King. She has this great moment where she pulls the camera in close to Sam Cooke on this performance here. And she pulls the camera backwards through the concert audience, where the sound of Sam Cooke's voice, which is not, propagated by the microphone, is just his voice in the auditorium. It becomes less and less and less as the camera goes backwards, but you still hear the stomp and the clap. So backwards all the way to Malcolm X, where he's sitting and appreciating Sam Cooke's innovation, creativity, ability to, lift an audience out of nothing, essentially. So
I think it's a moment that drops all the bullshit. Like there is the Malcolm X affectation that says, you know what? Remember the first time we met, Sam Cooke? Oh, it was in, this club. And he's like, I said that, and I said I also didn't know your music, but actually I've been to 5 of your shows. I'm actually a fan of yours.
Right.
And so Malcolm X is saying, in reality, like, this is who I am as a person. I'm a person who actually goes to listen to your music. I don't like Jackie Wilson. I don't like that kind of music, but I like your kind of music.
Right.
I do actually vibe with you. And then Sam Cooke is saying, I'm a person that just writes little poppy love songs that white girls are going to stamp their feet to.
Right.
And Malcolm X is like, no, actually in the Boston show, you were so much more than that.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah.
And so they have this moment where the guards are down, the bullshit is dropped, and they can say like, hey, we're actually not that far apart.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've done this, you've done that. We are closer than we realized. And it's a big turning point for, I think, both characters.
Yeah.
Where Sam Cooke realizes like, okay, well, one of the scenes before that, he storms out when they play a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah.
And, Malcolm's like, why didn't you write this song? This is a song that captures the Black experience. And a white like singer is number one on the radio singing a song that you could have written, but you're too much of a coward to write it.
Right.
And Sam Cooke comes back and realizes that like, not only is he capable of moving people, he's also like capable of writing a song like that.
Yeah.
And Malcolm X too is realizing like, sometimes to get to the heart of his movement of what he's trying to accomplish, he just has to be real with people. He can't just be the guy that is fire and brimstone and has a 1940s accent. He has to be somebody that understands what a person might need from him to make a new life for themselves.
Yeah. And he's got the talent to do it.
Yeah.
So
I thought that scene was amazing. And the filmmaking obviously is fantastic.
Yeah. It's probably the pivotal scene to bring those characters together, like you said, because they're so far apart throughout the rest of the movie where you don't see where they're going to come together on anything. But, I think that is a great story from Malcolm X that shows Sam Cooke, like, this is where I'm coming from. And it provides Sam Cooke some empathy to take with him. He's like, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. We'll see. So then he writes a new song, or he's got something in the oven that he's working on.
Yep. A change is going to come.
So that's another difference from the play where they actually perform that song on Johnny Carson, or Sam Cooke, performs the song on Johnny Carson. It's kind of like the montage outro to the movie. Whereas in the play, he just mentions that he's working on something, and he doesn't mention what the song is called.
Does he sing it in the play?
He does not. That's a good question. I don't believe so. They do sing some songs in the play, but I don't. Actually, maybe he does sing it. He might sing it. I can't remember. But anyways, it was not certainly wasn't clearly as powerful as the movie did it. But the movie sort of plays this great song, after they've had these altercations and this realization of each other and, the power that, the responsibility that they have, being this public persona, and sings a song. And, we see Jim Brown retire, right, from the NFL to pursue a career in acting. We see Malcolm X, his family is
firebombed.
Yeah, there's a Molotov cocktail thrown inside his house, so he has to, run outside and with his rifle and protect his family. Sam Cooke is performing on Johnny Carson, and then Cassius Clay is being basically introduced as a member of the Nation of Islam. I think they call him Muhammad, or
he says, "Call me Muhammad X." Before
at the press conference,
and then in this scene he says his new name is Muhammad Ali.
That's right. Yeah. So he's being introduced to the Nation of Islam, and there's notably a seat that's empty, right, meant to signify Malcolm X's sort of
has left, and Muhammad Ali hasn't come with him.
Yes, exactly. So there's that rift that isn't really resolved for obvious reasons, to stay accurate for historical perspectives. But yeah, it was what did you think of the scene? It was certainly a different ending. I mean, it was probably the same in heart, I would say, but different in the way that it was done and the added elements of the sort of the tie the bow on each of these characters' storylines. Yeah,
I think a lot of it was just like, we are now making our own decisions for ourselves. Like Jim Brown is finally saying "fuck you" to the NFL. You obviously he got a lot from it, and he gained a lot of notoriety from his playing days. But he's moving on. He's trying to find a way for himself to be paid for, probably get like more paid paid more handsomely to do an acting job.
Right.
So it's a bit of a financial windfall for him.
Mm-hmm.
And Muhammad Ali is just, I think the movie plays it up more than the play does. Muhammad Ali's spirituality. It seems like he's joining the Nation of Islam because he is both like curious and spiritual, right?
Yes.
He believes in the faith, whereas in the play, it's more of a recruiting trip in a
Sorta,
sense. Like,
yeah.
he's recruited Muhammad Ali to come here.
Yeah.
We don't actually know that he's really believes in it.
Yeah.
In the movie, like, he prays.
He also has his reservations. That
He does.
mentions.
He drinks. He
drinks a little
questions.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's 22. I mean,
He's young.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it is him making understanding that by doing this, he's going to put a target on his back. It's going to make his life harder.
Yeah.
He's going to become the heel for a time in his life by doing this.
Yeah.
And he is accepting all that, and he's wearing that. He's wearing it, right?
Yeah.
Like he's carrying that with him, and
Yeah.
he's accepted it, and he's done it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you said, and I really liked the intros and outros to these characters. There weren't a whole lot of differences in the middle, except for maybe the scene where Sam Cooke and Cassius Clay go to the it's not a 7-Eleven,
Liquor
but it's
store.
a liquor store, yeah. That was a key difference. It was a key scene for those characters, and I don't know. In general, would you say that this film had the same heart as the play?
I think so. I think the only like big difference to my mind is the end of the play. There's no like single character outros, but everyone does go to party, and that's what they want to do in the movie. But in the play, Malcolm X stays behind.
Yeah.
He's actually, it's revealed, not allowed to leave his hotel room because the nation is watching him.
Right.
But everyone else leaves. In the movie, he does leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the movie, they do a better job of playing up his paranoia.
Definitely.
So it sort of gives you the same feeling where the nation is like impinging on his ability to live unencumbered.
Yes.
But because we can show you the white guy standing behind the phone booth, because we can see him like check the lamps or look
Right,
outside the window, whatever, we've like built this to a point where we don't need to keep him in the hotel room. We can allow him to leave.
Yeah.
And it gives you the same, it hits you the same way.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think it definitely allows the creators of the film a little bit more flexibility with adding, the visuals of the two white men who are like waiting outside, kind of looking in his direction, and
Who were getting paid by one of Malcolm X's body men, right?
bodyguards. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end, we find out that I think his brother Kareem, who is like giving these guys like either
Money.
an envelope of something.
Yeah.
So some shady dealings with the Nation of Islam, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
it's tough times.
I think I prefer the movie version because it shows you more actively the steps that the nation is taking to, incite violence on his life, right?
Mhm.
By like directly paralleling brother Kareem giving money to these two white folks and then showing his house getting firebombed.
Yeah.
Whereas in the play, you sort of get a sense that like he's boxed in by the nation. He can't leave these four walls.
Yeah.
But I think if you could have shown violence on the play stage, you would have wanted to do that. But because you don't have the space, you don't have the ability.
Yeah. It's tougher.
Yeah.
Also, they give a little nod to the autobiography of Malcolm X. We see that before his house is firebombed, he's basically finished writing his manuscript or whatever. I don't know what do you call like a first draft of a book?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
He wrote his, yeah.
Yeah. So we see that as like one of the closing outros, which was a cool nod to his very famous work that he wrote. But all in all, did you find this adaptation successful?
I did. I would definitely recommend people watch this more than once. I think there's a lot to be gained from a second viewing. Or maybe I'm just really bad at watching things for the first time. That could also be true. That seems like a through line throughout my entire life. but I quite enjoy this movie. I think, I guess we'll have to see where we come down when we do a more thorough Oscar show. But as an adaptation, I thought this spread the story beyond its capabilities by adding more menace, by adding more paranoia, by bringing in more conflict, and showing it rather than leaving it off screen. And that's sort of a cheap thing to say because, you know, a play is set in a hotel room and obviously things have to be left off screen. But I think Regina King showed the right things.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think everything that she did not only piggybacked on what Kemp Powers wanted to do, but added like unintended things like the mirror effect that you mentioned, or some of the other like metaphors or slide.
It all served the story.
Yeah. And it deepened it too, right? Like I think him, you know, taking off his glasses all the time.
Yeah.
Him.
That's interesting that you noticed that in the second viewing. Or did you notice that in the first viewing too?
I noticed it more fully in the second viewing.
Yeah. I'm thinking back on it now, he does do that a lot. But I guess I just never noticed that.
He does it so much.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on the mirrors, but now that you said that, I totally see that. I did remember, like, there's a scene with Jim Brown just staring into the camera, like effectively staring into a mirror, and there's a conversation happening outside the bathroom, but they show him listening to it. You know, you could show him just in the bathroom and have like a speck of conversation and then we move on. Yeah. But there's an active choice made to show Jim Brown listening to what's happening outside. And maybe it's, you know, a reflection of his character that's sort of always inside and not out there, like being a part of it. And then maybe some of it is just filmmaking technique where sometimes big moments of conversation happen when you're not around. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things happening in this movie that are not on the page,
right? That
are made by the lens, and I think that's really cool.
That's why we call it the lens, baby.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought this adaptation was super, super successful. I mean, to everything that you just said. I mean, it just took everything that the play had and just sort of like, I kind of see the play as like the roots, like the base of the tree, and the movie is like the actual tree, right, with all the leaves and everything. It just like grew from everything that it had already, and just had just a lot more interesting stuff going on. Like, you know, we both read the play in, you know, less than a day or whatever it was, and you know, that was kind of it. We didn't have like full, you know, there wasn't a whole lot to dive into. But this movie, it's like there's a lot. I mean, you could talk about almost every single scene and have a, you know, real conversation for it.
I want to get on some like a Broadway actor and ask them how to read a play, because I wonder if we just read it too fast, or if there's a different way to read a play that's more intentional.
Because it's just dialogue.
It's all dialogue.
And I mean, some screen direction or, you know,
but very little
stage direction. But yeah.
But it's something that takes us like 45 minutes to read that is performed in twice that time.
I feel like a play is an actor's medium, and a film is a director's medium. And I don't know really. I think like because the play is written and it's only dialogue.
Well, it's also real time.
What?
A play is also real time, right? Like, who knows how many takes it took to get Aldous Hodge to say his lines.
Right. Yeah, shout out Aldous Hodge. Come on the pod. But like, it's up to the actor to like bring these words to life. And, you know, to a certain extent, that's true of a movie as well. An actor has to do his thing, right? Actor, actress. But it's more about the director in the movie, because you have so much more to bring. So you have to really bring it, right? Like in a play, you're constrained. You have, you know, 50 feet or whatever, 50 by 50, and you have a limited audience. But a movie, you could put it anywhere. And you have to make strategic decisions about where to put that camera that maybe, you know, show the audience a different way of looking at something. And I just think like Regina King did, you know, we've mentioned this a lot of times, but like she just did such a great job with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Logistically too, I think it's hard to set a play in a little hotel room like that.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a camera. Think about like how big a camera is, how you need to light a scene,
Yeah.
and all that, and be able to like move it around and have it look so seamless.
Plus, like Eli Guri, who played Cassius Clay, is enormous. So, like, how do you logistically move it around him? Like, he's just so big.
Or Aldous Hodge's triceps. They're
Yeah,
also,
like-
they
must-
are also enormous.
Must have been so difficult to move around, though. Anyways, we have. Is there any? Well, before we move on, do you want to mention anything else?
No, I think we hit on a lot of the big things. I would definitely recommend people check this out. Amazon
Definitely.
Prime, phenomenal.
Yeah.
2 hours. It's a little bit longer. It is interesting that we talked about these intros. They take like 25 minutes,
Total.
30 minutes
Yeah.
before we get into the actual hotel room.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit that is added on. It exists in the play in some respects as like throwaway not throwaway dial, as like
Additional, like contextual.
Yeah, as sort of like remembrances, but with a movie you can literalize those things. But it is interesting that this play, which takes place only in a hotel room, spends the first 30 minutes of its film runtime outside of the hotel room.
Yep.
So I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
No, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I agree.
All right.
I don't have anything to add. I'm sorry.
Good. Well, I hope you are hungry, Will, because this is our hot take segment sponsored by Wendy's. 4 pieces of spicy chicken nuggets for 99 cents.
I am hungry. So
I don't know if I said that right.
I don't think so. I don't know if you did either, but it sounds great.
Let the Lens hot take sponsored by Wendy's. Spicy chicken nuggets 4 for 99 cents.
Thank you.
Get them while they're hot.
Get them all the spicy.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna just move on.
Yeah.
Can you do yours?
This is why I don't host. This is why I don't host. No, you go. You can go first.
All right. So my hot take is Kingsley Benadir will have the best career of his counterparts in the movie, actors only. Just because I think, well, first of all, he's British, right?
Well, how do you define that?
What do you mean? Like the most successful career. So like,
In 50 years, we'll remember his name more than we'll remember other people's names.
Correct. He will have bring more to the world of acting than the other actors.
So what if I told you that one of these actors is halfway to an EGOT? What would you say?
I would say
is
sometimes
Kingsley Benadir going to get an EGOT?
Sometimes you peak at the wrong time.
Can
you know what I'm saying?
Kingsley Benadir sing?
Who? Probably not. Well, maybe. But can Daniel Day-Lewis sing?
He doesn't have an EGOT.
Yeah, but he's. Can you name one person who has an EGOT?
Sure. Jennifer Lee, the songwriter of Frozen, among other things.
Okay, so nobody knows who that is.
I know who that was. I think John Williams might have an EGOT.
EGOTs are for people who are weird.
It's not a real thing, but
it is a real thing.
Also, it's not a real thing. My point is, Leslie Odom Jr. has
who is more successful, Jennifer Lee, or Daniel Day-Lewis, for example, or Meryl Streep.
But this is a different. What you need to do is compare him to you need to compare apples to apples.
What I'm saying is, even if Sam Cooke, or I'm sorry,
obviously an actor is more successful than a person who wrote music.
Okay,
for
thank
movies.
you. So you agree with me.
But this is not a fair comparison. I'm saying
even if Leslie Odom Jr. gets an EGOT, I still think Kingsley Benadir will be more successful.
Okay. I guess I shouldn't step on your hot take.
Thank you. I know it's hot, but
I just love to.
All right, you go.
Okay. I think I am done watching movies that should just be documentaries. I really wish that we could get back to a time where we could make Citizen Kane. You know what I mean? Where it's based on a character and not the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although I like this movie, I would just rather watch the true story of an historical moment versus Ben Mesrich writing about GameStop.
Shout out Ben Mesrich, please come on the podcast. Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. I mean, although there are a lot of documentaries nowadays, there are a shit ton of documentaries these days, because they're great content. There does seem to be this trend in Hollywood that are sort of regurgitating historical moments. and dramatizing them or fantasizing them for this example of this film. I don't know.
I think we sort of talked about it. Like, what makes this movie fundable? Why would you make this movie? Is because Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, ironically, are on it, right?
Yeah.
Like, 70, 60 years ago.
So
It's not the case, but
right.
because you have those names, you can make this movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, having the real people not involved, but having the real people in it makes it sellable.
So let me ask you a question. If we come across another Little Ends joint that's like this one, but it's about an historical moment in time, but it's a dramatic movie and it's not a documentary, are you not going to watch it?
Well, I think there's only so much you can do. Like, Trial of the Chicago 7, for instance.
Yeah.
That's a documentary you should watch, not a movie you should watch. They are different things.
Yeah.
But if you are trying to get the same thing out of both, you're going to fail.
What I'm trying to ask you, though, you said here that you are quoted on this podcast as saying, I am done watching movies that should just be documentaries. Is that your stance?
Well, I control the Little Ends calendar.
It's a yes or no question.
And therefore, right? I'm going to avoid all future episodes that involve real people. So join us next week for The Devil Wears Prada.
Can't wait.
No,
okay.
I don't know.
I get what you're
saying. What I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I just wanted to make fun of you.
No,
because that's what you said.
Thank you. I just think that my problem is not that Trial of the Chicago 7 exists. It's that Trial of the Chicago 7 wants to be the definitive telling of that story.
Yeah.
And
where it should be a documentary, you think?
I think that the movie should, maybe like it's more fictionalized than I'm giving it credit for, but like when someone says, oh, that was an interesting story that I learned about watching this Netflix movie, you're like, well,
I get your point.
You need to be looking at something else.
Yeah. So people, basically your point is like people are learning from fictional movies, whereas they should be learning from documentaries or, more journalistic, I guess, source material.
Treat yourself to some factual knowledge, Will, and not some fictionalized knowledge.
Well, nowadays, factual knowledge is debatable.
Yeah, it is interesting the whole documentary boom. Like, I do think there's something to reading a book, a novel that you don't like, and thinking, "Wow, I wasted 2 weeks," and reading a nonfiction book and thinking, "Wow, I don't really care for that, but I thought it was interesting that I learned X, Y, and Z."
Yeah, yeah.
There is always some sort of benefit to watching nonfiction. You always learn a little bit, even if you don't care for the subject matter.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you feel about, Citizen4? Did you watch it? Did you see it?
I haven't seen it.
Did you see the Snowden movie?
I watched all of Shailene Woodley's work.
So what the fuck are we talking about? God almighty.
That's different. This is a Shailene Woodley show.
Unbelievable. And you support Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
What
I said, hack.
What did I say? I said I watched all of Shailene Woodley's work.
Yeah, but you still supported him. Unbelievable. You are a hypocrite.
Nick Cage was also in that film.
We're moving on.
Wonderful film.
All right, so movie or book?
Movie. I don't think for me, it's not that close. For you, maybe it is a little bit closer.
A little bit. I mean, I still think the movie was far more entertaining and far superior than the play. I mean, just for, the reasons we mentioned. I don't want to regurgitate them here, but movie. Every day of the week.
All right.
Final thoughts. What are you going to remember from the book? Or the play, excuse me.
Well, this is old now, but I watched it again this afternoon, and just so much ice cream. It just looks so good.
Yeah.
This is a movie, right? You didn't ask to play.
No, I said the play. But they also have ice cream in the play, so
yeah. Well,
you can just say
it's
both.
for both. But really, like they eat these like, you think of like tubs of ice cream now.
Yeah,
they're more rounded.
different. Yeah.
Think of like Edie's or Breyers. It's sort of like a little ovular. Ovular.
Are you ovulating? Is that what you're saying? Anyways. Sorry.
But the ice cream is like a rectangular brick.
Yeah, it's weird looking. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the older way they did it. I don't know why we keep talking about this. Both versions of my answer is ice cream. And I had some Halo Top the Monday after we watched it on the Sunday, and it was not good because Halo Top is not good.
It's fucking garbage.
So I think future Eric is going to be eating some like full fat ice cream.
Just get not Trader Joe's, Ben and Jerry's. Like, just stick with what you know.
I'm a big Edie's guy. I like Edie's.
Oh, Edie's is good.
Yeah.
I like I forgot what it's called.
All right. You're like a Cold Stone?
Turkey Hill.
Oh,
that's my shit.
Yeah.
That's my jam. It's super good. Anyways, super soft. That's
what will you remember from the play?
The tension between Malcolm X and Sam Cooke, like I mentioned before. That was just my favorite. I think my favorite part. It just, because it was something I just didn't expect.
Do you own Bob Dylan on vinyl, or is that Charlie?
It's probably Charlie. It's not me.
You're not gonna go home and put like Bob Dylan on the vinyl.
I'm not that mainstream. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I would never subject myself to stupid shit like that.
Is there an artist you would go home and put on the record player?
Yeah, but you probably haven't heard of him. I couldn't even say it on the street.
Sam Cooke. Yeah. Okay. So from the movie for you,
the performances, for sure. Especially, I mean, honestly, all of them were like really good. I mean, I know you make fun of the Muhammad Ali character with his Charles Barkley accent, but like, I didn't get that at all. I thought he was charismatic. He was big personality. There was a moment watching the movie, I was like, maybe he did better than Will Smith, but I don't want to go that far.
I haven't seen that movie.
Well, I mean, Will Smith is a legend in that movie, but like, I don't know. I think this guy did a great job as well, but I really enjoyed Sam Cooke his singing, as well as just Malcolm X and his just like sort of calm, reserved, but also agitated and pressure nature. And you just got a lot from his performance by him not doing a whole lot physically. So yeah, that's what I think. What about you?
If I can gobble up more Leslie Odom Jr. stock, I'm buying. There has not been a dip, but if there were a dip, I'd be in on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna even skyrocket.
He's got 2/4 of a EGOT. Will, I don't know if you knew that.
I think you mentioned that earlier in the show. I can't remember.
I mean, there's a chance
he'll probably get nominated.
There's a chance he could win an Oscar. Not a likely chance. Not a good chance.
I mean, I'm sure he'll get plenty of roles in the future.
He's going to get nominated for this. I mean, there's a chance he could win for this.
For sure.
I don't know. He just needs to slum it and go to TV. Are you kidding me? He could get an Emmy easily.
Do you think that would be his career goal to get an EGOT?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
It's an honor just to be nominated. You don't have to worry yourself with like winning or not.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's my point. Like nobody's actually pursuing an EGOT.
Well, that would just be trying to win awards.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pursuing an EGOT, but I'm not. I can't be in movies because I'm not a good actor. In the literal sense,
one day.
Like Malcolm X is not. Yeah. It doesn't have a real job in a literal sense.
Right.
I'm not in movies in a literal sense.
No, I get it. I see what you're saying. Thank you. Okay, well that's it. That sums it up for the show. Let's sign off here. Check out our most recent episode on Nomadland. Keep an eye out on our next episode, which is going to be on News of the World by the author Paulette Giles. I think that's how you pronounce it. Which is actually only available to rent online. It's actually not streaming anywhere, not on Prime, not on Netflix. So unfortunately, you have to pay for it. But maybe by the time we finish reading it and we record it, it'll be somewhere. But don't expect that to be the case. And then, are there any shout outs that you'd like to make at this point, Eric?
I would like to shout out all of the winners of, I guess it's not a award, but I'd like to shout out all of the EGOTs out there. May your dreams always come true.
Their dreams have already been their dreams have been realized by winning this EGOT. There's actually a decent amount of them here. Richard Rodgers, Helen Myers, Helen Hayes. But none of these... Oh, John Legend won one.
Yep.
Whoopi Goldberg.
It's not... It's a small list, right?
Mel Brooks.
It's like, 16 people?
Liza Minnelli, Quincy Jones.
So it's a lot of writers. It's a lot of musicians.
It's a lot of has-beens. That's what I like.
I'm saying it's not easy to be an actor and win it, like Audrey Hepburn did, or Rita Moreno. So I think if you...
Oh my God. The first guy, Richard Rodgers, won a PGOT, which is also includes a Pulitzer Prize. That's the new fucking standard. Although that guy.
But if you're not a writer, then you can't. You know what a Rodgers and Hammerstein?
These people are artists, Eric. They can do anything. Okay, they're not categorized to a specific medium. They express themselves in a multitude of ways.
So congratulations to all the winners. They're not winners. Congratulations to all the members of the EGOT Club. You deserve everything.
I'm not gonna second that, but we'll see you guys next time.